All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today we are going to tackle one of the most pivotal and, let's be honest, sometimes misunderstood roles in the scaled Agile framework, the product manager. This is the person right at the heart of the Agile release train, really guiding its direction and its purpose.
You know, Tony Fadell, the brain behind the iPod and Nest, he kind of hit the nail on the head with this one, a needle in a haystack. This quote just perfectly sets the stage for the challenge, right? It highlights that unique blend of skills this role demands. It's not just about managing a to-do list, it's about leading with a real vision and then executing with absolute precision.
So, that's the million-dollar question we're here to answer. Who is this person, really? What do they actually do day to day, and why are they so incredibly critical to delivering products the customers are going to love? All right, let's get into it.
First things first, we got to have a solid definition. At its very core, the product manager's job is to be this essential bridge, the person who connects that high-level business strategy with the on-the-ground execution by the development teams.
So here is the official safe definition. Now what's really important here are those four words: desirable, viable, feasible, and sustainable. Let's break that down. Desirable, do customers actually want it? Viable, can the business make money from it? Feasible, can we technically build it? And sustainable, can we support it for the long haul? The product manager has to live right at the intersection of all four of those.
Now, they don't do this alone, of course. The product manager is part of a core leadership team for the Agile Release Train, or ART. They're working side by side with the system architect, who figures out how to build it, the release train engineer, who makes sure the whole process runs like a well-oiled machine, and the business owners, who are the voice of the key business stakeholders. It really is a partnership, a constant balancing act between what the customer wants, what's technically possible, and what the business needs. But, if you had to boil their entire identity down to just one thing, it's this. They are the chief advocate for the customer. They are the person who carries the customer's voice into every single meeting, every decision, making sure the team never ever loses sight of who they're building for, while, of course, making sure the whole thing is profitable.
Okay, so how do they actually do all this? Well, everything a product manager does starts with this one foundational principle: a deep, deep understanding of the customer. And this isn't just a nice to have. It's the absolute bedrock of creating any kind of value.
You can really break down the work of a product manager in SAFe into these 5 key areas of responsibility. Think of this as their playbook. It takes them all the way from that initial spark of an idea to the final delivery. So for the next few minutes, we're going to see how they put this playbook into action.
So first up is exploring markets and users. This really comes down to 2 kinds of research. You've got primary research, which is super focused. It's about going to our target users and asking, hey, will you actually use this thing? And then you zoom out with secondary research. That's about understanding the big picture. What are the market trends? What are competitors doing? Where is the industry headed? A great PM needs to master both.
And then, they have to really connect with that customer. And this isn't just about spreadsheets and data, it's about empathy. They use tools like personas and empathy maps to really try and walk a mile in the customer's shoes. They use design thinking to solve problems from the user's point of view. And, most importantly, they keep the customer involved, constantly, creating this super tight feedback loop.
All right, so we've explored the market. We've connected with the customer. Now comes the real art form, translation. This is all about turning that insight into an actionable plan that the Agile release train can actually build.
And this, right here, this is the core of that translation. The product manager takes these abstract customer needs, things like, I just wish this was easier, and these big business goals, and they translate them into concrete, buildable features for the backlog. This is where the vision starts to get real.
So how do they pull that off? Well, they define the strategic path. This means making sure the product vision is totally in sync with the company's big picture goals, or what SAFe calls strategic themes. They create and, just as importantly, constantly communicate a compelling vision. That's the North Star for the whole ART. And they manage a roadmap, not as some rigid set-in-stone plan, but as a flexible guide that can and should change as we learn more.
And this is absolutely crucial, how they manage the actual flow of work through the art backlog. They guide the creation of every feature, and each one has a clear hypothesis about the value it's supposed to deliver. They are relentlessly prioritizing that backlog to get the most bang for the buck. They're the ones who say, yes, this is done on behalf of the customer. And they team up with the architects to make sure there's a solid technical foundation, the architectural runway, so that new features can be built without a ton of delay.
And that brings us to the final piece of the puzzle, and you could argue the most important one. All the research, all the strategy, all the planning, it's all for nothing if you can't actually deliver real, tangible value into the hands of your customers.
This is it. This is the payoff. This is where all that effort from the development teams gets converted into real, measurable outcomes for the business and, of course, for the customer. This is the moment of truth for any product. So this really breaks down those final steps, taking something from the pipeline right into the customer's pocket. The PM uses the continuous delivery pipeline to release value whenever the market needs it. They make sure they're shipping a whole solution, not just code, but a complete user experience. They work with marketing and sales for a successful launch. And finally, they measure. Did the feature actually do what we thought it would? Did it deliver the value we expected? And then the loop closes, and the learning starts all over again.
So, yeah, if you bring it all back home, this is the job. This is the essence of the product manager in SAFe. It's the relentless, the focused, and the creative act of turning what customers really need into business value you can actually measure.
Which kind of leaves us with one final thought to chew on. In a world where markets and customer needs are changing faster than ever, is this unique blend of strategist, customer champion, and team leader becoming the single most critical role for driving real, sustainable innovation? Something to think about.